The Jericho Wharf Trust is an organisation that comprises 4 other organisations.
The Trust was set up to pursue the future of a particular development site in Jericho, which is a distinctive neighbourhood within Oxford.
Jericho is a relatively dense urban area, small streets, lots of houses, no green space. The Jericho Wharf site is about half a hectare in size. It's the only place where the community might have a chance of assembling together. So it's a very special place, and the people in the community have known that for a long time.
British Waterways, which was the then owner of the site, looked to how it could be developed to their advantage in the future. They wanted to sell the site for residential market housing. There were 2 developers that got involved. The proposals were strongly resisted by the whole community. The community saw off 2 developers. Applications failed, they went to appeal in both cases, they lost.
So each organisation has held the baton of resistance. There did, however, come a point where we realised that it was essential to combine the resistive powers of all the organisations. We together formed the Jericho Wharf Trust. And it was at this point that partners beyond the organisation began to take us seriously.
We've developed over time a very good relationship with the council. It's partly about spending time with them, listening to them, understanding what makes them tick, and trying to show how our agendas can coincide. And it's partly about building credibility. I think our early experience was that both council and developers, landowners, were happy to accept that community could be a nuisance in opposing things, but they didn't believe that community could actually achieve things. The Jericho Living Heritage Trust led the next more positive phase, saying, let's try and see whether we can acquire the site and develop it for the community ourselves. We won a grant which enabled us to employ architects and do a feasibility study to show that the site was viable when developed in the way that we, the community, wanted it. As we experienced how difficult it was for us to actually buy the land, we found that our thinking and our valuation of the land was constrained by what we knew were the sort of context and circumstances and requirements of the site, whereas we were competing with developers, so they were prepared to bid significantly more than us, and we as a charity didn't feel that we could gamble on grossly overpaying for a site. We painted the rather scary picture to the council of going through yet another failed development, all the time, the agony, the expense of another planning inquiry, and convinced them, look, this is going to happen unless you become much more specific about the requirements that anybody must meet. And so the council committed to producing a supplementary planning document. Now that document looks at the community's aspirations. It ends up with some specific policy against which any new application by whomever will be evaluated. The supplementary planning document, once adopted, has certainly changed our relationship with the developer. So, with the previous developers, the balance of power was strongly in their favour. we had to campaign to get the things that we wanted included in their plans. Since the supplementary planning document, the developers had to argue to us that what they have included meets our needs. So the developer knew that they would not be able to get a planning application approved unless it included the facilities that were now embedded in the supplementary planning document. Eventually they found another buyer in late 2013. The community decided to try at least to work with that developer, partly because the developer wanted to work with the community, believing that that was the best chance of getting a successful planning application. They reappointed the architects we'd worked with, which was helpful, and essentially the developer said, you can specify what you need to the architects to be created, and let's see if we can come up with a solution that satisfies both of us. We have to remain very strong and very resistant to any sort of weakness, and making sure that all the things that potentially can be delivered by the supplementary planning document are delivered.
The Jericho Wharf site is right next door to St Barnabas Church, built by Thomas and Martha Coombe. They were the patrons. They had the vision to set aside this special place for the community. We in the Jericho Wharf Trust want to do the same. We want to bring together the industrial history and the rest of the wharf site with the church and bring it all into one development for the future.